We're coming to you live from the Accounting High TaxDome for the Accounting High Bracket Challenge. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
I'm ready, man.
Let's go.
All right, let's play this little intro.
Giddy up.
May I have your attention, please?
Greetings, Accounting High.
Welcome to Accounting High Live, the ABC tournament coverage brought to you by Accounting High. We got a lot of guests today. We got Richard Ropa, Roundtable Labs, Ryan Lozana's Future Firm, Matt Cannis, Ignition, Serena Sheep, Ambitious Bookkeeper, Andre K, G-Accon, Logan Graff with the Tax Telegraph, Randy Crabtree, the Unique CPA, Bookkeeping Side Hustle with K. Josephine Johnston, Sharam, Financial Sense, Mary Delaney, Karbon, Anita from Liveflow, and we got Ford Baker from Once Accounting. We got Jody Paydar, Radical CPA, Blake Oliver with Earmark and Cloud Accounting Podcast, Sherelle Martin with Rock the Books, Ron Baker, the Ron Baker, Peter Wen with the Tallyfor, Tanya with Tanya's Bookkeeping Bootcamp, Hector Garcia, Right Tool. This is the Accounting Bracket Challenge ABC Tournament Accounting High Live. And now for the stars of our show. Byron Patrick from the Baltimore area.
What up, Scotty?
The greater Maryland area. Is it always sunny? Is it sunny today in Maryland?
It is gray as out here in Maryland today. It's pretty sad.
So this is our, like, if you could imagine, I'll be Clark Kellogg. We need a Charles Barkley, we need a Kenny Smith, and we need a Greg Gumbel. All right. So this is going to be that whole like ESPN or CBS roundtable of announcers and commentary. Byron is the mastermind behind all of this. Without Byron, there is no accountant bracket challenge. So I want to give a really big thank you to Byron for basically putting this on his back and building everything out. It's beautiful. You guys are going to love it. This is exciting. I've been looking forward to this forever, man. And
This is real.
Yeah, this is so real. So
we get some interesting matchups.
real interesting matchup. So let me introduce you, Corey. Corey, say your last name for me.
Canoyer.
Canoyer. All right. So Corey Canoyer of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Now it's up there, up close, like Rhode Island.
Not even.
Not even close to Wisconsin. I know. So Corey's our tech advisor, our business advisor. Corey's going to be running tech labs at Accounting High. He's also an esteemed member of the faculty. Thank you for joining us today, Corey, as well.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And the Terrell Turner coming at you from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
I will say for this, we're going to have to get the energy level up a little bit because I will say is, I guess some people may call it like the March Madness announcement comes out at 5:30, but this is the real show that everybody showed up for, man.
This is the show everybody showed up for, or at least all the accountants, right? This is the event. We have 72 teams. It was only going to be 64, but as we were going through all the nominations and as we were trying to put it all together, we came up with another 8-team bonus bracket too. So we've got 72 teams to reveal today. It's going to get exciting. I'm just nervous as hell. I've never done anything live. I've never done any of this. So that's all that aside, though. I'm super excited. We got a ton of video. Thank you. I don't know, like submissions, video clips, thanking everybody for nominating them. So a lot of our teams that made it in, we're going to play the video clips as we go. So right now,
I guess before we jump into that, I mean, you said there's 72. So this is just the 72 we actually picked that made it into the tournament. There was probably like how many other ones before we narrowed it down to 72?
So we got over 1,000 nominations total.
Wow.
Over 1,000 nominations. Byron, we got what, over 200, almost 250 different things. Different things made it in.
Which
So
blows my mind. In a million years, I did not think there were 250 things to nominate.
I thought it was pretty cool going through it. There was like a ton that I had never even heard of before.
Yeah. This has been like, so to ever have the list of made by the people for the people, you know, to see what everybody's paying attention to, what everybody likes, and we left it wide open. So everybody knows that did their nominations. We didn't give you any kind of guidance. We just said nominate your top 5 favorite things. Most of the time, that's what we were saying on the posts and anywhere else. Just nominate your top 5 favorite things. And this way, we got to get a lay of the land and separate some things out. So I did want to kind of start out with, I've been doing these bracket challenges for 25 years this year. I realized I was a freshman in high school, and this was 1998. I was a freshman, and a buddy of mine was just handing out blank brackets one day. I guess it would have been the Monday after Selection Sunday 25 years ago, so not quite 25 years yet. And I didn't even know what the bracket, you know, I had never filled one out before, but I took to it. I loved it, and then I co-ran it with him because I dove in head first. I was like, I filled out maybe 10 of them myself, and then I started finding all my other friends, and we basically almost got the entire freshman class filling out brackets, and I had a stack of them. So, you know, he wasn't able to handle all the submissions that we got. So I would carry around a stack, and I would be like crossing them out as games played. I would like cross out, and it was just, ever since then, for 25 years, I've been doing this for the NCAA tournament. So naturally, when Byron suggested we do this for accounting, you know, I lit up. Like this was defined my first year of high school, was doing something like this. So I don't know. I'm just
Now let's get a quick note. Where did you go to high school? Like, what state were you in?
North Carolina.
Okay, all right. So we got a little bit of a bias in North Carolina because I mean we had, you know, North Carolina basketball is huge.
North Carolina basketball is huge. We've got last year's Final Four was like the that was the holy grail of Final Fours, right? Duke and Carolina going up against each other for the first time ever in the NCAA tournament.
Dude, Eric Church canceled a concert to attend that. I mean,
so dope.
That doesn't happen.
So dope.
I gotta be honest, I've never filled out a full bracket before. This is the accounting high one. This is the first one.
So once this bracket's revealed, you can fill this one out. You can fill the whole thing out ahead of time and make your predictions, right? Who's going to make it to the Final Four of our bracket? We took all those nominations, all those, sorted them obviously by ranking or by who got the most votes. There is an overall winner of votes, but in order to make it into each bracket, we had to categorize them to make sense, right? So what we did was we split everybody into 2 separate categories. Are you an application, an accountant's application, or are you accounting content? And content is interesting because that's learning, that's just podcasts, that's influencers, people on the socials, that's content. Communities is considered content too, and school, like educational content. So we basically broke out all the content into 4 different brackets, 2 regions, e-learning and media center. And then applications got really interesting too, because you have applications that are made for the business owner that a lot of our clients use. And then you have applications that are made for our practices and made for us. And among all those, we were basically trying to just break them out into 4 brackets, but we added a bonus bracket. So we have the money bracket, which is 8 apps in there. We got the bridge bracket, which is a lot of different bridge apps, bridging 2 different apps together. And those are in the general business region. And then we have the accounting region, which are practice apps made for our practice. And we have bookkeeping, general ledger type apps. And then we also have the bonus bracket, the tax bracket.
You couldn't have like an accounting, you know, bracket without having the tax bracket somewhere in there.
It had to be, but here's the thing. Very few tax platforms were nominated. Like we had to really dig it. So that's why it's a bonus, because most of the ones in there, some of them didn't even get any nominations, but they are tax applications. So we're just curious to see on the side. This is a way to earn more raffle tickets. So remember, everybody watching, everybody listening, this is to win a trip to Hawaii. So do we want to be clear on how people are going to win this? I think we should.
I mean, you have to. You mentioned it, so you have to be clear
All
about
right,
that.
It's true. It's true. So Hawaii's, we're going to be pulling
Magic
raffle
8
tickets.
ball.
When you log in to where you nominated, there's a little button on the top that says the number of tickets you have. If you click that, you can see all your tickets, and they look like little raffle tickets, just like the little red tickets that you would get at a high school raffle. They have numbers on there. So we're going to be picking numbers all throughout the tournament. I was actually going to plan on picking something today, but we didn't figure out how we're going to do the random. I think we're going to just have ChatGPT assist us or somebody assist us to pull the random numbers while we're doing these live events to give away prizes. So during our live events, during the tournament, we're going to give away all kinds of prizes leading up to the grand prize of the Hawaii trip. Brought to you by Ignition and Relay. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our sponsors who are actually in the tournament too. That was interesting because they both received enough nominations to make it into the tournament as well. So I don't know if they could win their own tournament, but we'll see. Depends on how the votes go. So we're going to be pulling raffle tickets. I actually don't even know what we're going to give the winner of this tournament to, who actually wins in the final four, but there's going to be something for the winner. There's going to be something that'll entice them to want to win. I mean, I think just winning itself is going to be great because you've been voted by the accountants as the best platform of all applications and content. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait to see what this Final Four turns out to be. So, Byron, do you want to explain how voting is going to work after we get through reveal this bracket?
Yeah. So basically, same website where you nominated, abc.accountinghigh.com. Jump in there, and there's going to be a button. That button previously said nominate now. Now that button says vote. And when you hit vote, it will take you to the bracket. And now you'll be able to choose the business, accounting, e-learning, and media center brackets, and the bonus bracket, of course. Now, you'll want to pay attention because what we did for these first two rounds is we are actually going to have you vote for round 1 and round 2 this week. So later brackets, it'll only be 1 round per week. But this week, we're going to do 2 rounds just because there's so much voting happening this week and in a very compressed time frame. So you will go through and you'll click on the bracket and it will bring up a tile, and we'll show at the end of the session today exactly what it looks like. But it will basically have, a accounting high at the top and cloud accounting podcast at the bottom. There will be a bunch of information there. You can click to learn more about what these things are. Because
to clarify, we are not going up against Cloud Accounting Podcast. They would stomp us. They would kill us in the first round.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but we, as Corey said, there's a bunch of things in here that some of us have never heard of. So you'll be able to click to get some additional information if you want to before you vote. And you click, and after you do round 1, you can then do round 2. We'll also talk about there's an opportunity to claim your profile. So if you are one of the nominees that made it to the bracket, you can go in there and put some additional information, put your logo, some additional description, potentially look at your testimonials.
You can unlock your testimonials. Yeah, you have the power to do that.
Because those testimonials will show up in voting if you unlock them. So it's a really smooth environment for making those votes.
Worked very hard to get it that smooth. So it's going to be similar to Expensify's compensation model, where, and I've never seen it, but we've talked about it. We talked about it in David Barrett's episode, where you're comparing two and you're voting for one of them. Who should get paid more of the two? That's what the compensation model is. Of the two people that show up on your screen, this is who should advance to the next round of the matchups. So you'll see the matchup, you choose, and then that dictates who you pick for the second round. All of these picks are getting you more raffle tickets. So you got raffle tickets for nominating. If you didn't nominate anybody and you're coming in a little bit late to the tournament, you can still have a chance to win our door prizes, our trip to Hawaii, just by voting. So the people who nominated are going to have more tickets, more chances to win. The ones who are just voting, who came in to vote, still can vote. You can still win.
Yep.
Get lucky.
Yeah, I would say, Scott, man, I'm looking at YouTube, man. There's a lot of activity. There's a couple questions that came through on YouTube.
Oh, damn.
The first one was, the first one was, how many live events are there going to be? Do we know
Great
that
question.
answer just
Great
yet?
question. We're gonna try and do this every Sunday through the whole tournament. So through the end of March. I've got our dates lined up, but I don't have them in front of me. But I would assume the next 3 Sundays we're going to be doing this. Let's reveal the tax bracket. I know everybody's.
Oh,
Here it is. Here's the 8. And not all of these received. Some of them received no nominations. There were no nominations for TurboTax, but still, just we needed a tax bracket. So,
we must not be trying to get Intuit to be a sponsor for you to call them out like that.
I mean, Intuit Pro Connect's in here, and Intuit Lacert was going to be in here too, but I couldn't put 3 Intuit tax platforms on one bracket. Like that just didn't. I couldn't do it, and the reason I didn't do it is because Lacert didn't have a good logo. Like there was just no logo; it was just the gold and the whole word. So I was like, let's just leave it like this. This is cool though. Avalara did get votes. SafeSend got a couple. Smart Vote got a couple. Smart Vault got a couple. UltraTax got a couple. I don't think I saw any. I think I saw one for Drake, but I wasn't quite sure if it was Drake the rapper or this Drake. It just said Drake. There was no testimonial. So I went ahead and put.
You, Scott.
This is how this one's going to work. This is just for bonus raffle tickets. Anybody can do this. We're loosely going to base this on the same time frame. Hopefully enough people not like fill this one out, and we can reveal the tax preferred platform of all of them, right? I think that's what this is going to determine, and it's just really going to be probably the most popular. And it's not just tax platforms, because Avalara could win this too, if that's the most value, right? I would hope Avalara beats Intuit TurboTax in the first round, but we'll see.
We should put out a list, Scott, of all the apps that were nominated. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, do we get a chance to give our prediction on who we think is going to win this category?
Our prediction? Yeah. Who do you predict on this one?
I mean, when you pulled it up, first one, I mean, maybe it's because it's at the top of the list is Avalar. I'm just like, that's probably the one I've heard more people talk about.
Yeah.
That I think is going to win the tax bracket.
Okay.
I agree with you. They're definitely a strong contender and the number 1 seed, obviously. But I feel like UltraTax is one of those.
That's my vote. I love UltraTax. I've been using it for maybe 7-8 years, and I couldn't imagine running the firm without UltraTax. It's a beast. So
you know what's missing on here, Scott, and we shouldn't change it, but Lacert.
Oh, I just said Lacert didn't. I couldn't do it because there was no logo, and it was another Intuit. I couldn't put 3 Intuits on there.
Scott didn't like the color of the logo.
Yeah, the color didn't mix. So one thing that you'll notice as we start to reveal these brackets is I took the top nominated platform and I used their color for the bracket. So they earned it since they got the most votes. For pretty much all of them. There was 1 or 2 maybe that I didn't use it because there wasn't a good color to use, but you'll see. You'll see how that goes too as we reveal these.
I mean, when you mentioned that there are 72 teams, I mean, and we started with 250, that means the 72 that made it in there, they have some momentum and a crowd behind them. So like everybody in the brackets better be out there promoting like their stuff if they want to win.
For sure. And we did get a lot of, so we had a lot of nominations come in this last few days, right? And that's because we saw a lot of emails, a lot of people were promoting it to their bases. I think we're going to see more and more of that as the tournament goes, as people really get serious. So we're going to reveal the books bracket. So as you can see, this blue is pretty bright. Now, this blue isn't Sassant's blue. This is a Zero blue, and Zero did definitely lead in nominations. I know they don't necessarily lead in the sea of green that we see. I know this from the world of accounting. This is not any new to anybody. Zero is kind of the minority, but man, their people showed up and they got a ton of votes. So they're a 2 seed in the tournament. For anybody that knows how the tournaments run, each bracket is broken out that we have here, each section of the bracket is these 8 teams. This is the 2 seed in the accounting region. So what Corey and I did as we were going through all of the apps, we split out. These are apps that are used by accountants. I know that some small business owners will use FreshBooks, QuickBooks, Xero, and Excel obviously too. But in most cases, a business user is not going to be using Keeper. A business owner is not going to be using Right Tool. So we took these, and these are the accountant apps. So let's open up the floor here. What are some comments?
I think Xero goes pretty far. I think Keeper. I'm kind of betting on Keeper to make it pretty far here.
Keeper the sleeper Keeper. Keeper was a sleeper. They got a ton of nominations.
Yeah,
they did.
A lot of love for Keeper.
A lot of love for Right Tool too.
I was just going to say, I could see Right Tool and Keeper coming down head to head in the Sweet 16 here because, and they're both in that same kind of space of just like extending functionality within the GL. So it's, yeah.
We've got Excel in here. Excel did receive a lot of, and honestly, in all my Xero days, I've always been a Xero at our firm, and we've been Xero. I bleed blue, but in my Xero days, everybody used to say, "Oh, your big competitor, QuickBooks, your big competitor." Xero would always say, "No, our biggest competitor is Excel." So to have them go up against Excel in the first round, it's an interesting matchup. I'm not sure how this one's going to go. There's a lot of green people that are going to be voting. They may end up. We may see a green make it to the second round. I'll have to change the background of this bracket after it. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not even making any suggestions because I would love to see Xero go far in this bracket. But yeah,
I will say when I saw that, I thought to myself, like, my background is more FP&A corporate finance. So I'm just like, obviously from my perspective, Excel is going to win that. But I think it really does come down to, like, Excel may be a very widely used tool, but how many people are really that passionate to really vote for it? I think Xero has a more passionate following than Excel. Like, people use it, but they're not like, I'm not going to tell people I use it. So I think Xero is definitely going to win that one.
All right. Corey, you got any other comments on this? I
just, part of me hopes that QuickBooks and Xero don't make it all the way. Right, that's a boring matchup, right? I think we know. I'd rather see, like Excel.
I mean, this is set up so Intuit and Xero, QuickBooks and Xero could go up against each other in the Sweet 16 to make it out of this bracket.
Yeah, I'd rather see Keeper and a Right Tool or Excel.
That's a good prediction. That's actually probably a good sleeper type. A 6-7 seed in the Sweet 16 is pretty. I don't know if that's common, but the 7-10 seed matchups are always. See, Uncat could also be one of those sleepers. We didn't even mention Uncat, and I don't know. I mean, I like their branding. I like the whole cat on a cat riding a horse or something. I've seen that before. I think that's fun. So I don't know. I honestly don't even know what they do. Uncategorized stuff in QuickBooks. Is that right?
No. It's basically a platform for working with your clients. So if you have stuff that's like uncategorized and you have no idea what it is, it basically will create a window for your clients to go in there and be like, oh, that's like lunch I bought for the team. That's this. Instead of the normal, like, I send an email with a bunch of lists and then they answer like half of it. Yeah. It's kind of a workflow for collecting that information.
What about SASANT? I never even heard of that before this.
So SASANT helps with a lot of e-commerce transactions.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, is it similar to A2X?
In a way.
See, I knew A2X coming into this, and A2X didn't receive enough nominations to even make it in. But shout out to A2X. They were a bubble team. Maybe next year we could see them on here.
I'm kind of shocked that did Google Sheets make it?
Google Sheets didn't get one nomination. Actually, Google didn't get nominated for anything.
I'm surprised Excel came over Google Sheets.
Interesting. Yeah, that's
Hi everyone, just enjoying a Sunday afternoon stroll in the park. Scott from Accounting High reminded me to make sure I thank the audience that nominated our app, Right Tool. So thank you very much for nominating it for the Accounting High bracket. I wish luck to all the other apps and ecosystems for the accounting profession that's helping everyone. Thank you very much.
I mean, it will be interesting to see, like, I mean, after the tournament, when we see the other 250, it'll be interesting to see, like, next year, how many of them move into, like, the top 72.
Yeah, all the ones that didn't make it. So let's move on to the next one. We're going to pivot to the content side, and this is the community bracket on our e-learning region. This is an interesting one. Realize got a ton of nominations. Realize got a lot of support, a lot of Realize coming in here. In general, a lot of communities came in and they all got at least over 15 nominations each, almost all of them. So this one is going to be a really tight matchup. It was very hard to split the seeds out because some of them, had the same number of nominations. So the seeding for this was tricky. And then Tax Twitter itself isn't necessarily, it's just a hashtag in another app. There isn't like an actual community. I mean, maybe there is, but it's just a hashtag. And it's on here.
So
too.
I guess if that wins, who accepts the award?
Good question. Well, we did find Byron found the originator of Tax Twitter.
Sure did.
What was it, from 2014?
Was it 2014? Yeah.
Might have been, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I forgot her name, but we saw the person who first used it and then the person who started using it regularly like 4 years later. So, yeah, that's going to be... And it's also really interesting, too, because the birth of Realize kind of came from Tax Twitter, too. Jason got a lot of his start in Twitter, and that's where he started to find his first community, and then that's when he built his first community, was through Twitter. So them going up against each other in the first one, that's going to split a lot of votes, I think.
Yep.
And that's just how it worked out. I love the matchup. I think it's a great matchup in the first round.
It's going to be interesting to see how some of these play out. Because, I do think that, the communities one, this is the bracket that I think is really going to show up in a big way because they already have built-in audiences, built-in supporters. So, I think the people who believe in these communities are really going to show up and vote. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
I think, though, on the flip side of that, I think this will be interesting because a lot of people are a part of multiple of these, right? On the other ones, you may use Xero or QuickBooks. Here, you could be part of Tax Twitter plus Realize plus Future Firm, I think
so Nio is calling Realize and Future Firm to make it to the Sweet 16. I like those odds. That Future Firm is pretty strong. But I also you can't discount Richard Ropa. Roundtable Labs showed up. They got a lot of nominations. Not as many as Realize. They're the 3 seed, but Roundtable showed up.
Thank you, Scott. First, I am humbled and I'm honored that Roundtable Labs is in the Accounting High sports ball bracket thingy. More important, though, I wish everyone great luck on winning. All of us in our own way strives for success and the betterment of the accounting and accounting adjacent industry. Thank you so very much and great luck to all of the nominees.
Workflow Watering Hole, Kelly Park's group. There's a lot of members on that on Facebook. I went on to pull the image to get that on there, and it's got over 4,000 members in her Facebook community. So Future Firm, Ryan Lozanis, I got a video from him.
Hey everyone, Ryan Lozanis here, founder of Future Firm, and I really just want to thank all of our supporters that nominated us into the Accounting High Bracket Challenge. We're really looking forward to going head to head with some of our favorite apps and vendors in the space. So once again, thank you very much. Take care.
Bookkeeping Buds I had never heard of. Are they based out on a Facebook group, or what's the Bookkeeping Buds? Anybody heard of them? I looked them up and I got the image, but I forget who it was. This was a hard one too. This was difficult because you got other communities that didn't make it in, like Thrival. I thought Thrival would make it in. They did not get enough nominations.
Someone on YouTube said Cindy Schroeder runs Bookkeeping Buds.
Oh yeah, Cindy Schroeder. Okay, cool. Shout out to Cindy. And yeah, so dark horse also is a dark horse. You've heard this in the tournament. There's always like a dark horse or a Cinderella. So they could be the dark horse of this bracket. They could end up taking it all. They got a lot of supporters, a lot of members of their sort of like a firm. Like it's a firm. Dark horse is very similar to Paget. Paget didn't get any nominations. So Paget needs to show up. I mean, Amanda did with Accounting Salon, but Paget didn't show up with any nominations here. So, I mean, technically that's kind of a community too. That's where I would have put it on this. So that's the community bracket. Are we ready to reveal the bridge bracket?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Let's bridge it. Woo! I love this one. I love the so this one is yellow. Definitely came out strong in the end. G-Accon has some support. Oof. They almost came in as number 1 overall. They got a lot of nominations.
And that was all in the last week.
Last week, yeah. Came out the gate. And they had a few to begin with, but they got a ton of nominations in the last week.
We're happy to participate in 2023 Accountant Bracket Challenge, and we want to say a lot of thanks to those who nominated us and voted for us. Thank you. You really love us.
A lot of strong support on everybody in this bracket. This bridge bracket is going to be a real tough one to make it out of. I have no idea. I can't call it. Tallyfor, ton of support for Tallyfor.
Hey, on behalf of the Tallyfor team, I'd like to thank everyone who voted for us. And I'd like you to think about who you'd like to win.
I got a lot of videos from people in this bracket.
You know, one of the things I thought about when this one popped up was my attention first went to Slack on this one because a mutual friend of ours just posted about, you know, how much she does not like Slack to where I'm
our
just
PE
like,
coach? Our PE coach. I hate Slack too. I know who you're talking about. So Nix, she's in the YouTube.
What?
Yeah, she's in the chat.
I love Slack. I will take Slack over any communication platform, hands down. It's better than text, better than email, better than phone. Like,
I second that.
yeah.
Everybody loves Slack. I know Kenji absolutely loves Slack. He wouldn't live without that. Corey, you're quiet here. Look at this.
I mean, I'm
Appstream
biased,
up
right?
against Zapier in the first round.
I'm biased, right? I don't feel like I can comment on this too much. I mean, I think everyone watching should vote for Appstream here, but yeah.
Creating space so I imitate rappers, making me happier. Couldn't have done it without Zapier. I don't know. I
will say, I guess during the competition, do you have to like put your rap on hold since like you're calling out a lot of these apps and stuff like that? Like, would that make it a little bit biased if you're posting your rap like during the tournament?
Yeah, it would make it a bias. I think that might be why Appstream is in this. That could be why they even made a 7 seed. So I don't know. Like I can't not play it. I mean, that's one of my favorite raps. I just finished a new rap. Speaking of 25 years ago, DMX came out with the Rough Riders anthem, right? Around the same time period that my first bracket challenge was going on. Took me 25 years to do it, but I just did a parody of DMX's Rough Riders anthem, the Tax Accountant's anthem. So stay tuned for that. Maybe we'll play a clip.
Something's due. Stop. Don't drop. You store stocks in a shoebox. Oh, no. Taxable income is not cash flow. Stop. Don't drop. You store stocks in a shoebox. Oh, no. Taxable income is not cash flow.
Y'all know tax season's crazy. My employee's getting lazy. Stop acting like it's easy. Mind your business, attorney. Y'all think taxes are simple? Well, let me explain something to you. Our parting ways is long overdue. We're just too nice to fire you. Another tax deadline countdown. Watch tax pros have meltdowns. Post-tax season wind down. Office gonna be a ghost town. Oh, you can't get a hold of me? Need a copy of your 1040? We sent that shit already. That'll be $1.50 to print a copy. Oh, you don't know how to read? Get it to me by March 30. Tax due by 4/15. It's too late. You're not early. You trying to buy a home? phone? And you need a loan? And broker just said don't write nothing off? Hell no. Lied to justify your PPP way back in 2020. Try to qualify for ERC, but employees, you don't have any. I don't think they'll ever end this reign of terror. I'm a tax preparer and I will amend an error.
Stop, don't drop. You store stocks in a shoebox. Oh, no. Taxable income is not cash flow.
We got to give a shout out to Liveflow. That's our PR partner. And again, like, we got a lot of partners in here. A lot of people in here have been partners and have been sponsors of our show too. So, you know, lots of love for a lot of them. Reach Reporting. We got an episode coming out with Once Accounting too in the next week or so.
Hi, this is Ford Baker with Once Accounting. Just found out that we've been selected to participate in this year's March Appness tournament. Woohoo! Thanks to everybody that nominated us. Excited for this opportunity and trying to figure out how do we get that one seed.
So, Tallyfor, we've already done a couple specials with them. We've talked about that. I love all of these apps on here. I think they're all, like, G-Accon is the zero tool, but what about Liveflow? Liveflow is getting a ton of love.
Hi everyone, Anita from Liveflow here. Thank you so much from me and the entire team for nominating us for the ABC tournament. We are very grateful and we are hopeful that Liveflow can help you throughout the entire March and April madness. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
I love Anita. Her video is great. That's going to be my next rap that I work on too, is a Liveflow rap. So there's a lot of incestuous going on here with Accounting High. So let's keep us separate from this bracket. But this bridge bracket is going to be a tough bridge to cross.
This will be an exciting one.
Don't burn this bridge. This is I don't know. Like
I like how they're stacked up too, right? Because we can we could see a Liveflow versus a G-Accon in the Sweet 16
for sure. Yeah, well,
that'd be an interesting,
Tallyfor got a ton of support. They're the second in this bracket. They got the second most votes, and overall they were leading the charge as well. And Liveflow too. Like all of them. Like if I had to say any bracket would be the hardest one to get out of, it would be this bridge bracket. So,
yep.
Terrell,
as you said, this one is very tough because I mean, like, if I'm judging by the apps that I use or what's been like the most useful in my firm, I'm definitely picking Liveflow. Now, I do know everybody's not me who's voting, so I mean, I think the reality of it is I think the apps that people use and who's actually getting out there, getting their fan base, riled up. And I mean, I'm really interested to see what happens with Tallyfor, because I will say is Tallyfor has probably the most hilarious and effective, like, guerrilla marketing approach to where it's like everywhere I go, Peter is there talking about Tallyfor. He's
with his
doing
backpack,
something.
with swag, handing it out, hacky sacks. Yeah.
So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they play out. Like, my pick on I'm between Liveflow and Tallyfor on this bracket.
All right. Next one. The influential bracket. This one is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite brackets just because I have no idea what direction it can go. And it was a lot of votes. So overwhelmingly large amount of support for bookkeeping side hustle. She got a ton. She got by far the most in this influential bracket. And I've got a lot of individuals in this influential bracket, and technically bookkeeping side hustle and Appy Hour aren't individuals, but they are individuals with a lot of influence behind their brands. So that's why they're in this bracket too.
I love the matchups here. I think there's, just the matchups, I think, for those who've been dialed in for, long enough to have the gray hairs that I have. I mean, there's some tough picks here because there are some icons that have been, influencers in this industry for a very long time. And then, you kind of have this new school wave of influencers here. So I love the matchups. I can't call a single one of them. Like I think this bracket could go any direction.
So speaking of gray hairs, Heather dyes her hair pink to cover up a lot of the grays. I would assume that Ron Baker also dyes his hair too, because he's got a full head of dark hair. But otherwise, yeah, not too many gray hairs. There's a lot of young faces on here too. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Jason Stats going up against Ron Baker. So somebody expressed how upset they were that they're going up against each other. This is actually the way it played out. Ron Baker just barely made it in. He did make it in.
Hello, everyone. Ron Baker here. I just wanted to thank everyone who nominated me to make it into the ABC tournament. I'm humbled by your recognition. Thank you so much.
Jason did not get as much as Bookkeeping Side Hustle, so that's why we got the 3 and the 14 in there. That's just how these matchups go. This is the rank in the order, but it is a good matchup. This is the one I'm excited about because this is the new school and the old school. This is bridging the gap. This is it. This is the one I'm most excited about.
I think my prediction is we're going to see the Sweet 16 with Jason and Logan.
Oh, no. Bookkeeping Side Hustle. I think Bookkeeping Side. I don't know. Appy Hour could come out strong too. I mean, Byron, you and I were at the Appy Camp this year, and a lot of support there. A lot of love for Liz and Heather. But what about Roman and Heather Smith? Roman is just LinkedIn, and he came in strong. He just promoted it on LinkedIn and got a ton of nominations. Roman's a sleeper in this. I think Roman's the big sleeper in here.
Well, and I think Roman had a couple nominations unsolicited.
Before he even put himself in the running.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
yeah, I think to the comment someone made about like, hey, being a little unhappy about some of the matchups, but I think that's what you show up for March Madness for. Mm-hmm. You don't want to see a boring game. You don't want to see boring matchups. You want to see the good challenges. I think this bracket is definitely going to be some really good challenges. I think what Byron said, it could be anybody who breaks out of this one. I see, Bookkeeper Side Hustle definitely has massive momentum in this bracket. A lot of people love Jason. A lot of people are very familiar with Ron Baker. And like you said, with Roman, focusing on one platform may be a winning strategy because everybody is going to that one place to get your information. If you're promoting there and they love you, they follow you there, you might get a huge turnout.
Yeah, and Heather's on all the platforms. She's the only one that has a full card. She's got a full dance card here. Every ticket is punched on that. We've got the Audible for people who have books, right? We'll get to that. Jason's. I was going to wait till we got to the other bracket, but he's on here 3 times. That's another thing to note or not to comment. Like if he wasn't spread between 3, he would have the most votes overall. But his votes were spread between 3 different platforms, and he's a high seed for all 3 platforms too. So Realize was a 2 seed in its own bracket. He's a 3 seed. And we'll see where a ... for that.
So does that mean like he could like eventually end up playing himself?
He could end up playing himself. Technically, he could play himself, and that's what you get for spreading yourself across the board. But honestly, he's focused and he's spread across the other platforms, right? Like he's really focused and all in on them. So I'm not knocking that either. How about Tax Telegraph against Jody?
Hey, it's Jody Paydar here, the Radical CPA, and I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to my fans and followers who nominated me to be in the ABC tournament. I'm really excited. I hope you'll keep voting for me, and I really want to make it to at least the Final 4.
The Radical CPA.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to Jason and Ron. Jody has definitely. She and I go way back to the early days of her doing kind of similar stuff of bringing various apps together and stuff, and Logan has just kind of really emerged as quite a influencer and leader in the space, and a very young body. So,
a national treasure. I gotta play his clip.
Thank you for nominating the Tax Telegraph to be featured in the Accounting High March Appness bracket. I will prepare my mind and body for this competition. Man, it's bright outside.
Oh, that was so classic. I love it. And then we got KJJ. I love it. She put on a production as well. The two of them put on productions. I got a voice memo from Ron.
Very nice.
And we got nothing from the video man himself. From Jason Stats. I was hoping to get a video come in from him too.
He's probably saving the energy up and was like, hey, when voting opens, that's when he's gonna drop something.
He's gonna
drop something.
I'm just thinking like you're asking Giselle to get ready for the walk. Like he needs lead time. Like you can't just.
He does need some lead time. He said he got to get on his computer and do his thing. I said just do it on your phone. But yeah, like
no. You
judging
can't
by
just wake up out of bed and get on the catwalk. Like you gotta primp and get ready.
Let's move on to the next bracket though. The money bracket. Ooh, this one was so fun to put together. First, I got a comment. Like all these other ones, I had to do double lines because it was like, you got to fit everybody's name in there. Bookkeeping side hustle, like people's last names. This one was just smooth. It was just one word names all across the board. Don't have to fit anything extra in. Not only that, but they're all their logos just lined up like perfect. They were just very simple little graphics. Right, I didn't have to use too many squares. I did for Relay and Rippling, but they're there together. I mean, come on, let's talk about this one here.
I think we are going to see something interesting. I think that it will depend how this week goes with Rippling, with everything with Silicon Valley Bank. That should be interesting. I think they might have just.
Well, and that's true for a bunch of them on there. I mean, I think a number of these apps have been impacted in some way, shape, or form by SVB. So it's to your point.
That's one of those.
It may be current events influencing how this bracket plays out.
But that does happen. Like that's how these live things are. So SVB did not get any nominations at all. So let's not.
We
let's not.
It's probably not a bad thing.
Bracket.
Yeah. Well, there's no banking bracket, but Relay's
bracket.
in here. I know, but bonus bracket, just the SV, everybody impacted by SVB, and we'll see how that bracket goes out. That'll be another bonus. Relay did make it on here. Shout out to Relay. You see their name on the top right there. So that's that. Hopefully, that doesn't necessarily influence anybody.
My prediction is I think Gusto's going to take this one. I think they're the number 5, which means they have some momentum behind them. I mean, and I hear a lot of people talking about, Gusto, how to use it. Even when I'm talking to like other accountants, whenever someone is asking about like, hey, what do you use for payroll? Like Gusto is one that people keep talking about. And I think, 5 gives them enough momentum to win.
So I agree with you. I think I see Gusto and Divvy making it to the Sweet 16.
So the other elephant in the room here, Plooto is the 1 seed in this bracket. They got a ton of, let's just say like if a lot of Plooto people voted for themselves and then they used a couple of email addresses. Like one person would use 2 different email addresses. So them actually just getting in here, they were supporting themselves. They lifted themselves up. I think but every year there's always the potential of a 16 seed upsetting a 1 seed. And that did happen last year, didn't it? Last year, 2 years ago in the real tournament was one of the first times it ever happened.
What do you mean the real tournament? This is the real tournament.
This is the real tournament, yeah. I'm talking about the NCAA tournament, but let's just say this is our first year doing a tournament, and this is a 16 seed. This is a strong 16 seed going up against what I would consider a 1 seed that hasn't been as influential in the space. Let's just say I don't hear Plooto as much as I hear Expensify. So I don't know. Like that could be an upset waiting to happen. Expensify just barely made it into the tournament. They didn't get a ton of nominations, but people could show up. I mean, that's kind of like saying, it doesn't mean just because Zero got a ton of nominations doesn't mean that they're going to win because the overwhelming support might be into it. I mean, overwhelming support might be Look at, and how about Bill and Divvy are the same company?
I was just gonna say that.
Same company, right?
Yeah.
It's just how the cards fell. Dext going up against Gusto. I think that is probably an easy match for Gusto. Gusto got a ton of support. They were actually leading all votes at one point during nominations. They were leading the pack for a couple weeks there. And then it just, the support fell, or others got a lot more support as they came in. So this is going to be a good bracket, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think we will see some significant upsets in some of these brackets. I mean, because if you think about it, we started, there are 250 different things got nominated. Only 72 of them moved in. All the people who voted for those other 250 things, now the list is narrowed down. I think they're going to see something maybe as a 16 seed and say, hey, you know what? I didn't think about that when I was nominating, but now that I'm voting, like, they're getting my vote. So I think we will see some upsets.
Yeah. Yep. So Niall's calling Bill going up against Gusto in the Sweet 16. I could see that. I could definitely see that happening. I don't know, man. I just nobody. I guess people hate on Expensify too. So it's like one of those love-hate things, right? Like some people love them, some people hate them. So they may not even. That's maybe what splits the votes. Maybe Plooto comes out and actually is one of the upset winners of this bracket. Like everybody's counting them out, right? They're the one seed that nobody talks about, but.
No, okay. Give me a little bit of context. What does Plooto do?
I don't even know.
I don't use them.
I forgot. I think they're bill pay or something.
I think they're AP. Yeah.
AP. Were they affected by SVB? There's got to be.
I've never used them. Yeah.
Tune in to Blake and David's webinar tomorrow to talk about everybody affected by the SVB downfall. So a little plug for that.
Hello, Accounting High. Thank you so much for voting for the Cloud Accounting Podcast and the Bracket Challenge. We really appreciate all your nominations. Hope to see you in the Final Four.
Blake's very well represented in this bracket. We haven't gotten to his brackets yet. So just a shout out there. Yeah, AP.
I think that's going to be an interesting thing that does come out of these brackets is, like I said, some of these names I've never heard of. And I'm sure a lot of the people who are voting are going to be like, well, what do they do? And look it up. So, I mean, I think for everyone who, rallied and got, enough nominations to make it in, they're going to definitely see some increases in subscriptions or more people finding out about them. Because, I mean, as you can see, none of us really knew what Plooto was. And if they weren't on this list, I would have never talked about them.
There you go. Yeah. And all of them will have their opportunity to claim their profiles and promote themselves more within the challenge too. So during those long rounds of voting.
So YouTube, the live chat saying Plooto is dominant in Canada. That's probably why.
Ah, that's right. That's how I know Plooto.
All right. Well, Alicia's pulling me along here. Sorry, Alicia, that I've taken too long, but let's move it on.
I would say the YouTube chat is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they're keeping me on track, holding me accountable because I could go on for days on this. I've been working on this for days, just getting these brackets together and like laying them out. So I'm super excited to reveal them.
Oh, and I've gotten the play-by-play every like couple hours. My phone blows up with all these text messages from Scott. Super amped.
I'm so amped. I'm so excited about this tournament, man. This is so cool. All right. So next up is our education, our school bracket, appropriate for Accounting High. And you'll notice the shade of green is another.
Ooh.
So this one is the one we've been waiting for. This one is the education bracket. This is the e-learning bracket. This is going to be an interesting bracket to make it out of. What do you guys got to say?
I'm not surprised by who won those votes. Earmark?
I am surprised.
Really?
I'm surprised at number 13 that it made the list. I'm really surprised about that one. I didn't expect that one.
So the town halls, they get a lot of love.
Okay. If you would have asked me who makes it into this bracket, that wouldn't have been the one I picked.
They did not get a lot of love. They got love. They got enough love to make it in. They did not get a lot of love. CPA Academy, they also just barely made it in. But they were the last one in this bracket. Earmark was overwhelmingly the first. That's one of those bridging the gap type things too. I mean, CPA Academy isn't that old. They're like a web-based platform, but this, I got to say, Blake is revolutionizing the way that we get our CPE.
Hey, Accounting High students, Blake Oliver, CPA here. Thank you so much for all your nominations of Earmark in the Bracket Challenge. I hope to see you in the Final Four, and keep on earning CPE for listening to podcasts.
How about taking your firm virtual? Niall's been loud in the chat. Taking your firm virtual got a lot of support as well.
Yeah.
Taking a quick pause from these tax returns because I just found out the Taking Your Firm Virtual Summit was nominated as a top contender in the App Bracket Challenge. Give yourselves a round of applause. You love the event. I love hosting it. So thank you. Thank you so much. And let's take this thing to the final two, baby. Let's do it. We can do it. We can do it.
All right. Well, that was presumptuous. A lot of these actually got a lot of the similar number of votes. So it was tough to create the matchups because they all got the same. It's going to be tough to make it out of this bracket too, I think. Any predictions?
Round one, I think Earmark, is going to take that one.
Mm-hmm.
Taking Your Firm Virtual, I think Taking Your Firm Virtual is going to take that one in round one. Round two is going to be very interesting, though.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think we got to watch out for Blake promoting on all the podcasts now. He's got the reach.
He's got the reach. He's got the reach of anybody on here. I mean, ACPA, they should have the reach. I'm sure they got a ton of members, and CPA Academy, I'm sure they get a lot of reach too. But
I think this could be another upset one. I think it could go a lot of different ways, and it depends on who actually goes out and votes.
One thing that would be interesting is if we can get like a post-game interview with some of these platforms.
Well, that was part of the plan for the live matchups, is to get representatives from some of the big matchups on the live shows, and we will talk about that and continue.
Thank you to everyone who nominated Rock the Books Online for the Accounting High Bracket Tournament. Thank you.
Tanya from Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp here. Thank you so much to everybody who nominated us for the Accounting Bracket Challenge. I'm excited, and we'll see you in the finals.
I will say the energy and the confidence level that everybody has is pretty good.
Yeah, everybody's excited. All right, let's move on to the next bracket here. If you lead in nominations, you're going to get the color of the bracket. That was the only way I could decide on the colors. I love Canva. Oh man, do I love Canva? This platform this is the one I would have win in my if I could vote for my winner right now, I would pick Canva. Ooh, the practice bracket.
This one is interesting.
I was kind of surprised by this one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Why? What surprised you?
Stuck out.
Karbon TaxDome matchup. I'm not surprised Karbon made it here, obviously. I'm kind of surprised. I think you were saying, Scott, there's no votes for Canopy, right?
Canopy did get a couple, too, but that was not enough to make it in.
Yeah.
Canopy does get a lot of love. I mean, I would thought, I reached out to their representatives. Hopefully I wanted them to promote it a little bit to make sure that they could get in.
Yeah.
Canopy didn't make it in. TaxDome got enough. Financial Sense got a lot of support, but obviously Ignition showed up. They came in strong out the gate, and all throughout they just they were the ones that was just like, they didn't get a bum rush. They just kept getting votes. They just kept getting nominations. So sometimes it wasn't even people promoting. They were just people, a lot of users, a lot of people love Ignition. That's how you get paid, right?
Hey everybody, Matt Canis here from Ignition, Managing Director of the Americas. Want to give a huge shout out to Accounting High and the Accounting Bracket Challenge, and a huge thank you and a massive shout out to all our customers who have nominated us. Thank you so much. Hope you're having an amazing tax season. I know it's not your favorite season, but anyways, the Bracket Challenge is a super awesome way to win a trip for two to Hawaii. So get in there, but again, thanks so much, Have a wonderful day. I'm not. It's snowing in Toronto.
The matchups were pretty interesting on here too, because these are a lot of practice management apps, but then there's also like Rewind and Practice Protect in here. There's TOA, which is for your practice, right? The outsourced accountant. They got a ton of nominations coming in toward the end. Liscio, ton of support on Liscio's side. It was almost a Liscio Karbon matchup, but because Karbon was the 5th seed, it was they couldn't go head to head. I would have liked to see them go head to head. Any predictions on this one?
I mean, I think Ignition is going to take this one. I think that means we are going to have to be very transparent about the votes. I mean, since Ignition is a sponsor.
Oh, we have to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're going to have to be very transparent about it. But I do think Ignition is going to take this one. I hear some people talking about Karbon. So, I mean, I think Karbon is going to have some momentum. But I don't think they're going to have enough to win.
I'm curious what... I agree with Terrell. I think Ignition makes it all the way. I'm just curious to see between Liscio and TOA. That's just like interesting matchup.
Financial Sense, I gotta say too, ton of support. I got a clip from them as well, but these clips aren't really playing out. But it's
the comment section has requested we do not play anymore.
It's
clips.
cool. No more clips. No more clips. What's the automatic disqualifier? Is Niall saying Ignition should be a disqualifier? Or like at first I was going to say the sponsors aren't participating, but they wanted to participate, and I mean we got to keep it fair. And I was going to say Accounting High is not going to participate either because we're running this, but we got votes too, so I got to put us in there. I mean, I don't think we're going to go that far, but we got votes. So I didn't solicit any votes. I just solicited people that nominated it. But we didn't even get to that one. So I don't know. Like I definitely think Ignition's got it, but Liscio's got a strong base of supporters. Liscio could end up pulling the upset on that side of the bracket. On the other side, I'd be really interested to see if Karbon does go up against Financial Sense and who's going to win, because Financial Sense got more votes than Karbon, or more nominations. So they came in with the higher seed anyway.
I think it'll be whichever app here pushes their audience to vote.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because a lot of these brackets, like we've been saying, can go many different ways. And it comes down to, do you vote?
Yeah. So wouldn't it be something if Ignition won the tournament and somebody from Ignition won their prize to Hawaii? Then
we're gonna have a lot of explaining to do.
Well, I know.
All the people.
Honestly, they didn't I don't think they're gonna win the tournament because they did not get an overwhelming amount of they won this bracket maybe, or they got the most out of this bracket, but they might not even make it out of the bracket too. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Honestly, my vote here goes to Karbon. If I had to go up against one or the other, if I had to pick, that's my support right there, because that's without Karbon, our firm doesn't run.
Hi everyone, Mary Delaney here, Karbon's new CEO. I wanted to take a moment to thank those of you who voted Karbon into the top 20 of Accounting High's March Appness Challenge. The Karbon community is engaged like no other I've experienced, and our customers are at the core of everything we do. So it means so much to be recognized in this way. Thank you.
Niall, you don't have to vote for them, so don't worry. don't vote for them. Vote for Rewind and do a campaign for Rewind so Rewind beats him out, or Liscio. Then the background of this changes to pink if Liscio beats him out. We change the background as people get knocked out. So,
that I'll say that's a very big tip for like all the people who are in YouTube that are commenting. Like, if you don't want someone to win, I would say is do a campaign for their competitor. And then I would say reach out to them and ask them for a sponsorship deal. Yeah. I mean, if you do that good of a campaign that the number 16 seat becomes an upset, yeah, do a campaign and then reach out to them and ask for a sponsorship deal. You might get signed.
You might get signed by Rewind. Ooh, you might get signed by Rewind. So, any other, honestly, TaxDome, I don't think they're going to make it out of the first round. I gotta say, Practice Protect could be another sleeper though. right? Nobody cares about protecting their practice, do they? Like, I don't see that much support for Rewind or Practice Protect, because that's like the preventative maintenance stuff, right?
We use Practice Protect, but yeah, I don't. I think Financial Sense makes it through.
Hey everyone, it's Sharon from Financial Sense. We are excited to be a part of the Accounting Bracket Challenge. We want to thank our amazing customers for nominating us and look forward to seeing everyone else on the court.
Yeah, they got a ton of support. I like their new logo. So let's get to the podcast bracket. And as you can see by the color of this one, who got the... Now, let's just like pause and say Cloud Accounting Podcast got the overwhelmingly most nominations of anybody in the whole tournament. From the start to the end, they just kept getting more and more and more. I say almost 10% of the people nominated Cloud Accounting Podcast. So 3 cheers for them. They're my homies, my inspiration for all of this shit. Like, without them, I'm not even doing a podcast, right? So I love them. I'm not gonna say I'm supporting them. I'm supporting us. I want us to win, right? That we're in here too. So this is just going to be an interesting. And look at who made the 16 seed. My boys at Acuity.
Yeah.
Where do we start here? I got like
I think for round one, I'm going with Oh My Fraud. Like, I think hands down they're gonna wipe Accounting High. I was like, I'm just joking.
I think for all of our best interest, I think Oh My Fraud has to beat out Accounting High. Scott, you definitely can't bring that one all the way.
I might end up voting for Oh My Fraud, to be honest. Like, now that I'm hearing all this. Unique CPA. They were leading total nominations. They were beating out Cap for a little while. Yep. Like, for at least a week or two, they had the most nominations, and they came in strong. Randy is promoting the hell out of this. Thank you, Randy. And that shows, if you promote this, you're going to get your base excited. You're going to get the votes. You're definitely going to make it in. Randy did not leave anything up to chance.
Hi, Randy Crabtree here, host of the Unique CPA podcast. I'm here today to thank everybody that put in nominations for the Unique CPA for Accounting High's Accountant Bracket Challenge. We are honored that we've received enough nominations to make the field of 64 and really are looking forward to have a fun time watching this progress for the next month as teams, podcast, individuals, platforms, communities progress through the bracket. Thank you, everybody.
I think he's going to want to pounce on that side of the bracket. He may end up beating out Oh My Fraud in the second round if he beats Automation Town. That's the third one that Stats is involved in that made it in. I'm not going to win my own challenge, Niall. Trust me, I wasn't even going to put us on here, but we definitely got plenty of votes and nominations. It's the podcast bracket. I mean, this is. But it's just going to be. How about Serena?
Hey, Serena here from The Ambitious Bookkeeper. Thank you so much to all of you who nominated The Ambitious Bookkeeper podcast. It is such an honor.
She came in strong too. Ton of nominations. Shout out to Serena against y'all's podcast too. Y'all are on here twice. The Growth Lab. Shout out to Dan with his little cartoon character there. The Fast Evolution and the Ambitious Bookkeeper. First round matchup.
I'm biased once again. I don't know.
I'm biased for Serena. I'm gonna vote for her.
Ooh.
Terrell, I'm sorry.
I guess this is where you're gonna find out. This is where you're gonna find out who your real friends are. Yeah. You know, so everybody's gonna be asking like, "Who did you vote for? Did you vote for me? If you didn't vote for me, and then like, you know, we might not be friends until after the tournament."
So Terrell, you got too many platforms to talk about diversifying, right? You got some votes for one, and then some votes for another one too, like the Business Talk Library and the stuff your accountant isn't telling you. Not one was enough to make it in. So, I mean,
it's true, and it's kind of what I expected.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of what I expected because most of our audience are business owners, non-accountants.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's kind of what I expected from our platform, because when I look at this list here, I'm like, yeah, these people, when it comes down to the accounting, community, these platforms, these podcasts here definitely have a way bigger reach in the accounting space than we do.
So you're here representing Accounting High. So that's you're our media center. So at least you got a team in here. I don't know what I said about Kenji, Niall, but Kenji's in here. He made it into the first round, and who knows? Drink While You Think could get some supports. So I don't know. This is going to be a fun one. I also got a comment. The only two podcasts that curse on there are going up against each other too. Like the only irreverent podcasts are the ones that that just let it all out are going up against each other. So that'll be interesting too. I do think they're going to beat us. They got plenty more listeners than we do. They just probably didn't promote it much. They'll definitely beat us first round, but I'm gonna vote for us. I think this is it. This is the bracket. This is what it looks like.
Wow. I mean, I would say there's a lot of really good matchups, really good lineups. And I think a lot of people, as I said this before, I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot about platforms or even podcasts. I mean, as a podcaster myself, I'm excited for like all the podcasts that made the list, because they should get more listeners, more downloads after showing up on this list. So I'm excited for all of them.
Yeah.
Terrell, I think you're totally right. Not just even on the podcast, but on the various apps and the communities. I mean, I learned so many new ones out there that I'm already looking up and starting to listen to podcasts. So I love what this has exposed, just in this overwhelming Wild West of stuff.
Wild West of stuff. At least it's categorized and like put together with some kind of intention.
Oh, dude, you did fantastic, Scotty.
Fantastic. So now looking at it from overall, I know it gets a little blurry, but who's going to make it out of these brackets? So looking at the business side of it, business apps, money and bridge. Now that you see who's going up against each other after the Sweet 16, that, Gusto, I heard a lot of Gusto chatter on the chat. That's totally up in the air. Practice apps that could all be going up against each other. Practice and then books. So it could be like Intuit versus Liscio or Intuit versus Ignition. Then who wins? If it's QuickBooks versus Ignition, right? Like, I don't know. I don't want to like tempt myself to be making any picks this far ahead, but.
Mm-hmm. Now we did get a question in YouTube. Someone asked about can we get a copy of the individual brackets to share? Because I mean, it will be interesting to see how everybody else kind of plots what their brackets look like. So will we make a copy of this available so people can fill out their own brackets?
For sure. I got to clean it up a little bit more in Canva to get it to where it's like presentable for everybody in the right format. And then I could submit those and send them out. What I was going to do is tell people to mail in their hard copy of a filled out bracket with $20 cash, and then I'll give I'll send the winner their cash on who predicts it, who has the closest prediction ahead of time, right? So we got a week to do that before we reveal any of the actual first and second round votes. So just like the NCAA brackets, people can mail it to my house with your hand filled stuff on it. I don't know if I'm actually going to do that, but I might post something there.
Your email is going to be like full of brackets.
Yeah. No. I'm saying hard mail it, like actual printed copy. I'm going to walk around with it just like I did in high school. Walk around with my brackets and cross them out as they come in. Like I'm not, I don't go digital on these things. No, hell no. I don't know who makes it out of these brackets. Like Stats could play himself in the Elite Eight in this side, in the media side of it. Like he is the media. Could be Blake up against Stats, like, or Cloud Accounting Podcast up against Stats. That could happen. Bookkeeping Side Hustle, you can't ignore that. Like she could go up against Cloud Accounting Podcast in the Elite Eight. Earmark could go up against Realize. Blake, Earmark could go up against Realize on the learning, and Cloud Accounting Podcast could go up against Jason in the could have Blake and Stats in there twice in there. Yeah, that's interesting too. Don't rule out Nio. She could make it. She could be the 9 sleeper that makes it into the Elite 8. Takes out.
I will say Nio has like the energy and the charisma to definitely go much further, I think, than some people may be, giving credit for, because I think Cloud Accounting Podcast is probably going to go further than Earmark CPE. So I think Nio does have a really good shot in that area.
Yeah, all she's got to do is make it out of the school bracket, and then she's got smooth sailing from there out. But I don't think she wants to beat Realize out. She may vote for Realize when she goes up against them head to head. That's potential for the Elite 8. So lots of interesting potential scenarios here. Remember, the voting begins soon. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow.
It'll be. I was just gonna say tomorrow. Where there's still a couple loose ends we're tying up for the voting, but one thing I will say though, however, we do have the profiles available. So if you are the owner of any of these, log in to abc.accountinghigh.com. There's a button at the top that says claim your profile. You can go in there and claim your profile, register, populate the logo, do all kinds of stuff. And maybe if you're just a super fan and you're concerned that tax Twitter needs a representation, or maybe nobody from Microsoft is going to log in, but if you want to rep Excel, you can sign up as a super fan and update a certain amount of that profile information. So between today and tomorrow, that is something you can do. Go in there and claim a profile for one of the nominees and update the various description, logo, information. Make it super pretty to represent who you want to win. And voting will become available tomorrow, and you can go in. And I think, Scotty, what we talked about is maybe midweek, we might give a little teaser of how voting is shaping up, at least for the first round votes. So we can kind of give everybody a temperature for how voting is going, and really encourage everybody to go out there and advocate for the things they want to win if things are trending differently than they want.
Yeah. We'll have to approve the super fans, though. We can't just have anybody going in there and claiming all that kinds of stuff. So we got to make sure that we're not there is no representative available for the
So the thing is, once a owner takes it over, the super fans are not able to make changes. And you got to sign off. For one, you have to have a corporate email address. You can't use like AOL.com to sign up as a super fan. I got to be able to hunt your ass down if you do some ghetto stuff on somebody else's brand. And we do reserve the right to kick you off as a super fan if you're being super obnoxious. Yes, exactly. So play nice, kids.
Play nice. So
what's up? A few people asking when does voting end? So it starts tomorrow.
Great question. Yeah. So on each one, I've got at least the dates here. So the 12th through the 17th, which technically is today. 17th is when voting for round 1 and 2 ends, and you're voting for both round 1 and 2 in that first round of voting. That was just one of the things that, and I'd love y'all's feedback too, because we were going to do basically 3 days of round 1 and then turn it over 3 days of round 2, but we thought that would just be too much for everybody to kind of especially during tax season, to have to go in twice in 1 week, to do that much voting. So we just thought leave it open for the full week, but then the next round of voting, because it's less matchups to vote on, we're going to play those out. Like half the week will be the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, and then we'll have the national championship.
So let me ask a question on that one. So since round 1 and round 2 will be open at the same time, so from the 12th to the 17th, people are voting on round 1, at the same time they're voting on round 2, like how will they know who's in round 2 to vote on?
It's who they put in round 2.
Their round 1 picks.
Okay.
Which is going to mean that the votes for round 2 are actually very important when somebody's going in and they're basically making their picks, and it's going to be like, one of those things where each round 2 vote is worth a lot just to make it in, because not everybody's might even be nominated in there. But that's how we're going to determine the winners, who got the most votes for round 2. There's just going to be, everybody's going to be getting fewer votes altogether too. So
that's it.
All right.
So
that's about to go down.
That's about to go down. It's about to go up in, well, let's not say that. Let's just say this whole thing I couldn't have done without you guys, without everybody else's support and nominations. I'm so excited about this. This was just one of those, like, Byron made it come to life, but I'd have this kind of stuff bouncing around in my head. I had so many ideas last year of like ways, fun things that we can do. What do we do to, like, get everybody involved, everybody, content, the applications, and like have a big party for everybody. So thanks. I think, class might be dismissed. Nio, is class dismissed? I would have just kept going, but that's a good point. Closing remarks.
What I would say is, hey, big shout out to Byron for this, because I remember when Scott brought me the idea. It looked nothing like this when it was in Scott's idea form. So, Byron, big shout out to you for like actually putting some structure around this thing, and really making this thing come to life. So, I think it is going to be awesome. And to a couple of the comments that are popping up, there probably I will say, as the media director, my vote is there will be more faculty members you will see show up on some of these live broadcasts. It won't just be the 4 of us every single week.
And Nio says we got to play the bell. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Love you. We'll get some females on here next time. Just under an hour and a half.